Previously on this channel, I talked about games that I was personally excited about, and to be more exact, I think that video was taking place right around 2021. And ironically, one of those games that I mentioned in that video happened to be Palworld. Now, if you're up to date and you live in the world of 2024, you may have heard of that game at this point, or at some point. If not, I would be very impressed. The game has sold 1 million copies within the first 8 hours of being released, which is absolutely phenomenal, but it doesn't stop here. The game is an early access title, currently retains 88% of positive reviews, and that's what I mainly wanted to focus on. Rarely do you ever see an early access title get the praise that Palworld did. In fact, more often than not, early access titles get shit on, and almost always. Some are, of course, more deserving than others, but the bottom line is, if you are releasing an early access title, you are bound to get criticized. That's just the bullet you're gonna have to swallow, right? Palworld has already tilted the scale that a lot of early access titles just couldn't. Now, of course, things could change pretty drastically, especially if its development turns into hit and run, but it is very much unlikely at this point. Understandably, due to the overwhelming amount of players playing the game as we speak. Once public servers come out in large quantities, I would imagine that there would be a huge increase in lag and server stress, if not already. I mean, servers are damn near filled all the time as we speak. It's just given, right? Hey everyone, my name is Rooslahn, welcome to my channel where I cover survival games. If this is your first time on this channel and you're enjoying what you're seeing, then possibly consider subscribing. There's a lot more to come, and I promise you. So Palworld was developed by the very same team that was at some point standing behind Craftopia. Now personally, I think Craftopia was all over the place. Just imagine having an open world sandbox game with just a bunch of stuff available from the get-go. The purpose of the game was rather unclear, or actually let me rephrase that. It was just too big. You join the game and craft basically whatever you want in this huge open world environment. And now you have a game that's made by the same team except with Pokemon creatures and guns, so you can only imagine how the game was going to sound to the rest of the public. Except now, since the game is out, people that poured so much trash talk previously before the game was even released, let's just say that their comments will not age well, because the game turned out to be pretty dang incredible. Now, something notably to point out is the fact that all these guys seem to get inspired by bigger titles. Craftopia had a huge inspiration from Zelda, and Palworld is clearly inspired by Pokemon or even Digimon, which is something I personally grew up with and I hold that very close to my heart. Now, the overall game loop of Palworld is what I'm here for. At the end of the day, it is a survival game. Sure, it has creative mind behind it and a different approach, but it is still a survival title that has very strong survival mechanics. You still have to eat, you still have to worry about your temperature meter and the base building aspect of things. And those are the games not only do I love to play, but also those are the games I would love to cover on this channel, and I have been for the last 4 years. To say that Palworld is a replica to Pokemon titles couldn't be any further from the truth. In fact, if you take away that statement, you will have 80% of the game that's being unique and extremely creative with its own little plot twist. It has nothing to do with Pokemon title whatsoever. In fact, it's more so Ark than anything else. Now, your initial stages of the game are fairly simple. You must collect resources and find a place to settle in. Once you get enough resources, then you can venture out for a bit and start discovering new things and creatures. And that's when the game begins to shine on just a whole nother level. Those creatures could be captured and used to build your base, farm your crops, mine resources, fight battles, defend and protect you. They can also be used for transportation purposes. The overall concept is just perfect. The loop is very much there, and players will certainly put a lot more time into this title just for that sole reason. Palworld does a phenomenal job with making a player feel excited and have something to come back to. Remember being a kid and playing a game that would stay in your mind even when you go back to school, and while you were in school you just couldn't wait until you came back home just so you could play the game again? I think last time I felt something like that was right around GTA 5. I'm sure everyone has their own little game that they will truly dearly hold close to their heart. The bottom line is, it takes a very special game to make that one individual feel that way, and not all of the games do that. And to have that spark sort of reignite all over again is a huge accomplishment. Truly. I can't stress this enough. These are my first impressions of the game, definitely not a full review video. There's just so much to it. And I feel like in order to give you guys a full review, a dedicated review per se, I'd have to spend at least 50 to 60 hours playing this game because there's just that much content. You can easily pour 40 hours into this game and only discover a fraction of a puzzle. The map is huge. Although it's not procedurally generated, you will certainly get lost more than once, because I have. Is the hype on the internet real? Yeah, I'd have to admit so. It's basically a survival game that doesn't fail to acknowledge it because it still focuses on survival, and as you progress through its initial stages where you actually have to grind for everything you have, the game immediately becomes easy and self-managing, meaning if you play your cards right, you'll get to the point where your base is self-sufficient, your pals will not starve, they will in fact plant seeds and grow crops on their own, let alone harvest them and store them so you don't have to. It's almost a settlement management game that is designed to handle its own shit, literally. Palworld has taken me by surprise just like many other players out there. There is a reason why people just can't stop talking about it. So, with that being said, it's absolutely worth it. You will have more than your money's worth in this title, for sure. I will certainly do a more dedicated review video. Those are my first impressions of the game, once again. And the game is just dope. I love it. This was your boy Roos, and I'm out. Goodbye.